Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I'm George. We're all George. So, happy Tuesday. Welcome to another Market Open stream. Let's talk about what's going on today. There are some significant news we need to discuss. One that's overseas, one that's internal. So, let's discuss them and let's talk about how these things relate to Bitcoin's next big move. All right, let's do it, guys. Let's do it. Welcome. We're starting out today at $87,000, which is okay. It's not bad. It's not good. Obviously, if we held on to this last night, would have been better, 87.3. But we got up almost to 89,000 yesterday. We're building upon, stair-stepping off of this recent low of $80,000. All right, so things are looking a little bit better, slightly better. But what about this next big move? Well, there are a lot of big things that's happening, okay? We're finally getting some economic data. That's one of the things that could move us in a big way. However, we're getting a lot of September data, not October, but it is something. It is something. For example, this is the one. Wholesale prices in September rose, but less than expected. That means inflation is still going up, but it's going up slower than expected, which is actually really, really good. That's what we want. We want slowing inflation or no inflation at all, but that's not possible. And then we also got ADP reports. Okay, tomorrow is supposed to be a big. Is it tomorrow? No, I was thinking. I don't have it, but we're supposed to get like an actual jobs report, not an ADP one. ADP is just for private payroll. But anyways, ADP's been reporting that, jobs has been going down. There's just not as many hiring at this point, right? So when you combine the two with a slow inflation and jobs not as plentiful as expected, that leads to one good thing: more rate cuts, okay? And probably more than just the final one next month. It is now up to 85%. Keep in mind, we were at 30% last week. That's what really scared people off, Wall Street off. And now we're back to 85%. So as the data continues to come in, I think people and the Fed will realize it's actually a much dire situation and we need to cut more. So during this FOMC meeting, Powell actually may say and set the tone for 2026 and say that, yeah, we need to be more aggressive. There will be more cuts coming because the labor market looked really weak and inflation is slowing down. Right? So this is good that we flipped above. It was always this high. I still don't understand why it flipped so low last week. It really made no sense. It was just a lot of fear. But now we're coming back to our senses and realizing, yeah, we need a rate cut. We need this one and a lot more in 2026. So obviously when Wall Street expects cuts and liquidity to start flowing, they're going to start investing more, right? We had panic selling last week. And that could have been, a way to kind of wipe out or clear out the weak, the retail, okay? And now it's time for them to load up. Could be. I mean, obviously yesterday was a very green day. Let's see how today goes. Outside of rate cuts, we also have this. Supposedly, Trump sent this like thing to Ukraine yesterday saying that, hey, you guys have to accept this deal. If you don't, we're not going to support you anymore. And it's kind of like the final straw. And today it came out. Ukraine agrees to court terms. And Zelensky is supposed to be flying out to the White House. And if this is true, and I think it is, it's being broadcast everywhere. The war overseas, finally, in Europe, may be coming to an end. It's funny, if you look at the core terms, it's basically what Russia wanted all along. But somehow it wasn't agreed upon years ago, and they've been fighting for however many years, and now they're coming to a conclusion, and it's the same exact terms that Russia asked for years ago. So I don't know what's changed. Maybe Trump put his foot down and said, it's just enough is enough. We have our own problems. We can't be supporting your war. Can't be sending you more money. So, anyways, end of wars are always good. This has been going on for 4 years now? Yeah, I think it's about, time flies, but I think it's been about 4 years. And if we can end this, it'll be great for Europe, great for the world, and we can move past it. Maybe not great for Ukraine, but yeah, again, ending wars is always good. All right. What else? What else is there today? A lot of talk about AI still. I covered this last night. Amazon has spent $50 billion on AI infrastructure. This is not going to stop. AI spending will continue, and they will be in the billions, tens of billions, hundreds of billions. This is never going to stop. I just find it silly that a lot of people think that there's a bubble and somehow AI is like someone mentioned before, like 3D TV. It's just a fad and it's going to go away. No, it's not. It's not like 3D TV, and it's not like a small feature that is going to go away. There's hundreds of millions of people that use AI every day for their normal tasks, for their business tasks, personal life, everything. And governments are certainly spending a lot of money because they don't want to fall behind. Sovereign governments are deploying their own AI agents for counterintelligence, for hacking, for whatever. You need to also beef up your own infrastructure to protect yourself against other nations. I mean, it's an all-out war. There's AI warfare. There's no doubt about it. And even tech companies themselves are at war with each other because everyone is trying to come up with a better model. And everyone's trying to develop an AI that's actually intelligent, that can think for themselves. One that we bow down to in the future. It may sound like it's fantasy land, but it actually is leading to that. It's kind of scary if you think about it. But anyways, yeah, there's a lot of AI news. Anthropic releases their new Claude. And, ChatGPT keeps going up. Everything keeps going up. There's newer models that get more intelligent, that could do more and stuff like that. Again, it's like you have to adapt or you die. And as for people with normal jobs, you got to build your wealth as much as you can within the next 10 years or you're going to be out of a job. Maybe labor jobs will be a little bit longer, 20 years out. In the next 10 years, it's very likely, very, very likely that you will lose your job due to AI because every single year, these models get bigger and smarter and do more. And it's at an exponential rate. It's not just like a small little upgrade. Every single big model that comes out is significantly times more powerful than the previous one. So you got to adapt or die. All right, that's off topic, but still, it's fascinating and scary at the same time. All right, moving to Bitcoin ETFs. Yesterday, still outflow from Bitcoin, even though yesterday was a good rally day. So definitely not led by Wall Street. BlackRock continues selling, which is a concern. And you got several other funds that had outflow. However, Ethereum was positive. Ethereum, a big reversal with Ethereum. BlackRock's picking up Ethereum. Plus 100, basically 100 million. And Sol had a really good day yesterday. Overall, 58 million inflow. That's actually the biggest inflow day since day one. I mean Solana. I'm sorry, Solana. Solana had a big inflow day. Ethereum had a good inflow day. Bitcoin, not yet. Not yet. Yesterday, a whole lot of FUD around JP Morgan. I wonder if JP Morgan and BlackRock have something going right now. I wouldn't put it past them. Jamie Dimon and Larry Fink, they're quite close. Maybe they're up to something. And this week, on Friday, even though we have a shortened market week, the week itself is not shortened. We have Thanksgiving on Thursday for those of us in the US, and then we have Black Friday on Friday, so the markets are only open half day. But we still have a lot of options expirations, futures expirations. It always comes the last Friday of every month. And generally speaking, there's a lot of volatility because these traders are trying to push things or manipulate things as much as possible so that they can benefit. One of the things that you look at with options expiration is, what is the max pain? Okay. What is the price Bitcoin needs to be at to incur max pain on both the long and short side? And for this Friday, it happens to be at 102.8. It's like kind of like a phenomenon. A lot of times with the options expiration, you do see Bitcoin gets moved towards that max pain price. So in this case, it'll be fantastic because we are below that. So if we see the traders push Bitcoin back to 102, I don't think anyone's going to complain unless maybe the shorters. But generally speaking, we see a lot of times where Bitcoin's higher and it gets moved lower just to incur the max pain and then we recover. Kind of like the CME gaps. But it'll be interesting to see what happens between today and Friday, whether that does happen, that the traders or the market makers or manipulators, whoever, actually starts moving Bitcoin up to hit that max pain price. I guess we'll see. All right. Outside of that, let's talk about some other good stuff that relate to Bitcoin. Because again, I know the fear is high. A lot of people still think, the market is kind of rocky and kind of shaky. And I agree with that. If it wasn't, we would be well above 100,000 and heading to a new high. But are we going to make that big move? Are we going to make that big recovery? Well, there are things that's proving, obviously. I've been talking about it. Rate cuts go help. End of war is going to help. Right? Maybe this options expiration will help. But what definitely helps is the fundamentals. That hasn't gone away. And I have a couple clips to show you guys. Metaplanet, part of that now. One of the biggest Bitcoin holders on the planet continues to buy more, following in Saylor's footsteps. They're like a mini strategy, but they're not really mini because they're buying hundreds of millions every single time now. Okay, so they're part of it. The miners are certainly part of fundamentals. Even though Bitcoin's price have dropped quite tremendously, the hash rate and difficulty continues to go up. None of the miners are shutting off right now. Maybe their margins are razor thin, but they are continuing to power the network. Because they don't want to miss out. No one wants to miss out on finding the next Bitcoin or partial Bitcoin from their pools. It's like a gold rush, but it's really the Bitcoin rush, right? That's part of growing fundamentals. You see the hash rate and mining continue to go up despite the price being lower. That's really good. And then, of course, you got a lot of metrics and indicators like users and stuff like that. This is a good clip. I'm going to play this clip. This is the head of institutional strategy from Coinbase that kind of talks about the same thing. Fundamentals. Have they really changed, from a few weeks ago? Take a listen.
Nothing's really changed since the all-time high. If we just step back and think about structurally, in fact, you can argue the news coming out about Citibank, JP Morgan, both leveraging stablecoins at a huge scale. The Czechoslovakian National Bank has come out and announced they will be the first Eurozone country to purchase Bitcoin for the Treasury. Clarifying rules from the IRS. Harvard Endowment announcing they own more Bitcoin than gold. All of those things are structurally very, very positive. From the exchange point of view, we're not seeing a massive increase in open interest in our futures market. CME, you can check it yourself. I was always taught early on, a declining price market accompanied by a rapidly declining open interest means the market is breaking down structurally. People are exiting the market forever. When I look at Bitcoin, I see the number of active Bitcoin wallets roughly the same as it was 3 months ago. I see both CME and Coinbase futures open interest, again, ticking down a little bit, but not nearly in line with price direction. And so I go back to the very, very basic principle of if I like apples, I don't like them less because they're on sale. And so if you like this asset, you like it more. If you don't like this asset, if you've never liked this asset, you now have the microphone for a few months or a few weeks, we'll see how long, and enjoy that moment. Nothing's really...
If you like apples, you should like it more when it's on sale. I've been saying that for a while. If you like Bitcoin at 126, you should love it way more at 86 now. There should be no reason why you like it less. Right? Now, if you never liked it to begin with, sure. You can spread a lot of FUD about it, but yeah, when things are on discount, you should love it more because you could pick up more at a steep discount. Right? But part of, the thing that he was trying to say is fundamentally things haven't changed. Number of holders roughly the same. He mentions futures interest, basically overall interest, still roughly the same. And then he mentions a lot of other geopolitical macro stuff that are good. That's the thing. That's why I keep saying fundamentals haven't changed. In fact, they're still getting better. Right? Here's another clip I want to show you guys from Raoul Pal. You guys should know who he is. He was like a Wall Street guy, and now he's he's just, I don't know what he does. He does his own thing. He does a lot of videos and streams and podcasts, but very knowledgeable guy. This is something that he said last month, I believe, during a SUI conference, and basically he's talking about a banana zone, which people understand. Banana zone is just a parabolic phase, okay? Every single cycle we have seen it. We haven't seen it this cycle, but he mentioned something very interesting. I'm just
not a missplit with it. Follow your tokens. Don't use leverage. Don't get your wallet hacked. Just sit with it. Be careful. Don't get FOMO. Do all of the right things, and we'll go up to the next phase of correction zone. That's going to be harder because the next one that happens, we'll have a 35% drop, and you'll all say, "Is it over?" And you'll definitely be sure it's over. And everybody on Twitter will tell you it's over, and it won't be over. By our work, we suggest that because of the elongation of the business cycle, because rates were higher for longer, the forward-looking liquidity suggests that, again, probabilistically speaking, without any guarantees, this whole thing goes into Q1, maybe Q2 of 2026, which would align with Trump's, trying to win the midterms as over. By our work, we suggest, on Twitter will tell you it's over, and it won't be sure it's over. And everybody on Twitter will tell you it's over. And you'll definitely be sure it's over. And everybody on Twitter will tell you it's over.
I'm trying to get back to the point where he said, we will see a 35% drop. and everyone will say it's over, but it won't be over. He said this last month or 2 months ago. That's exactly what we went through, right? I don't even think we hit 35% drop, but you know, we're pretty close, 30 something percent. Okay. Now, previous times we had this before, but his point is because we have an elongated business cycle, we're going to have an elongated Bitcoin cycle. So rather than see a top come December, we'll see it in Q1 or Q2 of 2026. But we're going through that correction phase, that 35% drop, just like previous cycles. And he pointed this out. We will see it. Everyone's going to say it's over. Like right now, you have so many people saying it's over, but it won't be, and we will recover. This is what I've been saying, and this is what I believe. And I think most of you guys know that deep down, because not everyone is bearish. I know a lot of you guys, I could see in the chat or in my Discord, people are staying hopeful. People are buying the dip. It's not like every single person is turning bearish. It's just a few. But those few, some of them have large audiences and kind of spread it out and gets people worried. But this cycle is definitely not over. Bitcoin's definitely not over. Here's something else. Like yesterday I showed a chart. Today I'm showing one that's similar. Like if you look at even from if you're a chartist, if you're a pure TA guy, and you're just going off of lines and indicators and signals, you'll notice that like on a weekly scale, we haven't been this oversold since July of 2022 when Bitcoin was at sub 20,000. That's on a weekly scale. On a daily scale, we're as oversold as the last two big drops. But if you're looking at a weekly scale, Bitcoin is as oversold as the bottom of the last crypto winter when FTX collapsed. Think about that. Think about the kind of buying opportunities that exist right now. We're like equivalent to the bottom of a crypto winter right now. And that doesn't come very often, right? And obviously we're not in crypto winter, but man, there are signs that show this is a fantastic, fantastic pickup opportunity. There are other signs like this, you know, the weekly SMA 100. And the important thing is when we drop below it, it's not good. It happened during crypto winter last time. But when you break above it or stay above it, it's good. That's usually when we recover and we continue forward, right? And even with our drop, we're still above it. That's good. And we have other signs like whales, some of these like giant whales, you know, recently placed a lot of shorts. Whether they knew something was coming or they guessed or they caused it, some of them are now flipping to the long side. So again, sometimes you just gotta pay attention to what these guys are doing. Is this a sign? Or maybe they're just looking at the same charts, or they're listening to Raoul Pal. And they're like, okay, this is a good buying opportunity. I'm not gonna miss it. So yeah, there's a lot of good stuff, guys. A lot of good stuff. Here's also something good. There's a new SEC rule that basically is going to allow infinite amount of alt ETFs. Basically, what the SEC is saying is, as an exchange like the CBOE or CME or NASDAQ or S&P 500, they have a lot of these like benchmark indexes, which basically just tracks the price movement of whatever. Okay. Basically, the new rule says if these guys are tracking the price or have an index of a crypto, then they're allowed to list the ETF of that crypto. So this kind of opens up the door for like so many, right? Bucket ETFs and all these other ETFs that we don't see yet for alts. But it could be, because if these exchanges, the US exchanges, start keeping track of prices of all these crypto, just like how CMC does it or CoinGecko does it, then basically they're allowed to list all these ETFs, right? Any of the ones from these big fund issuers like Franklin Templeton and Fidelity and Bitwise and even BlackRock and Grayscale. So many out there. That's also positive. All right. I think that's it. I don't have anything else. Kind of mixed day, more red than green. I actually expect today to be green, okay? Because we actually got some bad economic numbers like core inflation. Well, actually good economic number, I should say. In this case, inflation went up, but less than expected, which is good. Our rate percentage, or the percentage of a rate cut, I should say, has gone up, which is good. The Ukraine war coming to an end, which is good. These are all good things. I feel like there's going to be a reversal at some point, but maybe not. Maybe there's still too much fear, but I feel like there's something going on. All right. Let's do some Q&A. All right. We got a few more days until Thanksgiving, and less than a week before December comes. This has been so far the most challenging November we have faced for Bitcoin. It's not the most, but one of the most. I think it's the second most challenging. But you know what? We will get through it, guys. We will. No, this is not a Bloody Mary, Josh. What's your preferred tire for every day on an SUV? I'm not a tire expert. I just look at the good ratings and go with it. I will say in the US, Discount Tire is my favorite tire company to go to. Their service is outstanding. They have really good service, and I really enjoy them. It's been years since I went to anyone else like, I don't know, Firestone or Just Tires or wherever else. So I'll recommend Discount Tires. Am I an eggnog guy? No, I'm not. I am not. After I wash the dishes, Costco is actually really expensive, Josh. That's why I never get tires at Costco. After I wash the dishes in the kitchen sink, how important is it to wring out the sponge after? Not very. Not very. For those not in the US, what is Thanksgiving? Just seems like another Xmas. Thanksgiving, yes, it's very similar to Christmas where there's family gatherings and stuff and people eat turkeys. I don't know actually what it celebrates, but like, when the colonials like had a dinner with the native Indians here in North America, and I don't know how it turned into Thanksgiving. I don't know if it's the very first dinner they had together or first meal they had it together or just some other significance. I don't know. But it's just a time of gathering. Yeah, Discount Tire is awesome. They will fix patch tires for free because they consider it like a dangerous thing. They will also rotate your tires for free, even if you didn't buy from them. That's crazy, okay? You go to any other tire shop, including dealerships, you ask them to rotate your tires, they'll charge you like $20 a tire. Discount Tire will do it for free. People don't realize that. They will patch your tires for free. They will rotate your tires for free. And they pump air for you for free. In the winter, there's long lines outside because people are just waiting in their car. You pull up, they will fill your tires for free. You don't even have to get out of your car. You don't even have to tip them. They actually turn down tips. Like, they offer all these things for free. No one else does that. And plus, their prices, they'll price match anyone. And usually they're the cheapest. And you can even haggle with them if you wanted to. So there's no one else that's like a better tire company. The only thing I don't like is they don't, what is it? They can't, I forgot what. There was something that they don't do, but outside of that, they really do provide the best service. I made a prediction with a friend for $2,000 that Clash will reach 160 million, 200 million by March 31st. I think you're going to probably win that bet. By that time, Clash is going to be a lot higher. Yeah, Seawolf, that's right. You can't do alignment. They won't do alignments for some reason. They should. They should offer it, but they don't. Man, today's turning out to be a really bad day. But I'm clinging on hope that we turn around. Yesterday was such a good day. We need more days like yesterday. We need continuous days like yesterday. We need to shine some hope on people. Because right now it's just depressing. But, like I said, things are going to improve. We still have a lot of great things happening. Steven, it's not a confirmed bear. No one confirmed that. This always happens. And I even showed a clip from Raoul Pal that predicted it months ago. Either last month or 2 months ago. Where he's like, we're going to have a 35% drop. People are going to say it's done. But we're not. .001 Sequoia says, I'll bet George bull market is over. Okay. Let's make that bet. If we don't recover, I don't know, by when, then I'll admit that the bull run is over. But if you're wrong, you get banned from the channel forever. So you give me a date and we'll make that bet. Just because something's elongated or something doesn't exactly follow what has happened before, doesn't mean that it has fundamentally changed. Again, when you're looking at everything else that we're looking at, all these fancy metrics that we have, even the technicals on charts, and you look at just overall users, adoption, hash rate, transactions, none of them have changed drastically. The only thing that have changed drastically is the price. Everything else basically remains the same. So that's the only thing I could say about that. No one could be sure of something until we're like way past it, right? So only time will prove whether we are right or not. The only thing I don't like right now, the one thing that I really don't like right now, besides the price, is BlackRock's outflow. That's the one thing that's a little bit concerning. We have seen massive outflow from BlackRock, right? Now, I defended them before because they were very strong, diamond hands. We had massive outflow periods before where BlackRock hardly sold at all. And they were always at zero or there were positive inflows, right? But for the last few weeks, we've been saying a lot of outflow. In fact, I think this month is the worst outflow month ever for BlackRock ETF. So that is a little concerning. So I'm wondering if BlackRock now have achieved a status where they feel like they can move markets, or they're in collusion with people. So I don't know. You like to think that they're too big and they won't be doing that. But like every single industry they go into, they dominate. And I said BlackRock being Bitcoin long-term is not good, right? I don't know if this is considered long-term because it's only been like 2 years. Is it 2 years? Yeah, 2 years. So this is the only thing that out of everything I'm looking at or showing, the only thing I don't like is the outflows right now from BlackRock. Why is Nvidia dropping so hard today? Because Meta said, oh, look at this. This is good. Good news. Bad news is good news. Consumer confidence lowest since April. Because there's reports that Meta will use Google AI chips instead. Okay. And the rumorville is this will happen because Google AI chips are created by Broadcom, and Broadcom CEO is on the board of Meta. So they kind of like fostered a deal, and that's the reason why. Again, overreaction. Even if Meta uses Google AI chips, so what? Okay. Nvidia sells out every single thing that they produce. Every company on the planet that is involved with AI and models and language models and trying to create some kind of sentient AI being, they're all using Nvidia. So this is just, again, overreaction, kind of like last week where all tech and AI sold off because people are like, oh, all fearful. And then they're going to all come back later and realize this is a nothing burger. Because the numbers from Nvidia are spectacular. Well, Dow is starting to turn around. Again, that's not the greatest picture of Zelensky. But again, with bad economic numbers means more rate cuts. With the war coming to an end, these are good things. Right? I think we can turn around. I think we could turn around today. I think it's kind of like a fake out this morning. We'll see. We'll see. But these are good things that are coming up. So there's really no reason for more sell-off. I do have a lot of NVIDIA. I have a lot of NVIDIA options. I made a lot of money with NVIDIA. I'm going to stick with them because it's kind of silly to bet against them right now. Have I decided on a project car? No. No. I need more garage space. As large as my garage is, it's not that big. So I need I've been thinking about renting out a warehouse or something, but I just never committed to it. I just feel like it's kind of a waste of money to rent a warehouse for storage of cars. And buying cars overall is kind of a waste of money, so I haven't really committed. But if we climb back up, let's say next month, January, February, I might change my mind. But right now, no. Morgan, everything seems random until you understand why it's not. That's one of the things I've learned over the years. And it's kind of how my channel blew up in 2021. Back in the day, not a whole lot of people were looking at metrics. They looked at charts or they taught fundamentals, but not a whole lot of people looking at metrics. So my channel wasn't growing at all from 2018 all the way to 2021, beginning of 2021. And what brought me some attention was I looked at Crypto Quant one weekend and I saw a massive amount of Bitcoin being deposited into exchange. And I made a video. I called it out. I'm like, look at this. When you have a few billion being moved to exchange, that means they're going to sell. Watch out, there will be a sell-off. For a day, it didn't sell off. And then the next day, there was a big Bitcoin dump. Right? And that was F2 pool. It was a mining pool called F2 pool. And some of you guys remember that. Right? But had I not discovered that, it would just seem like it's a random sell-off. Like it just came out of nowhere. Right? So everything's random until you actually dig down and realize they're not random occurrences. This is what caused it. Right? And that's the thing. We have more information now than ever. Back then we didn't have a whole lot. Now we have a lot more companies like Arkham and others that are digging into addresses, looking at whale addresses, looking at who's selling off and stuff like that. Right? So we have a lot more data at our fingertips now. Doesn't mean that we know everything, but my point is, almost nothing is random. Everything's done with a purpose in mind. And usually, if you can't figure out why something's being done, just look at who benefits the most from what is being done. That's usually it. Who or what group or what entity benefits the most? And Tom Lee called this out last week. And I still think it's the biggest plausible reason why. Since October 10th till now, we have been very weak. It seems like we have been suppressed. And generally speaking, there's no movement. And that is the biggest market maker, the biggest exchange on the planet, lost a whole lot of money with that big liquidation event due to that glitch. And now they have to patch that hole. And it's in their best interest if prices are low, volume is lower, while they recoup. He called this out very, very clearly on a CNBC interview. He just didn't want to name drop. You guys could guess who it is. That still seems to be the biggest plausible reason. And he said, usually with big holes that you need to patch, you know, the last one was back after FTX collapse. It takes about 8 weeks to recover. And I think this is the 7th week, he was saying. Right? So again, nothing is random. You don't just have random dumps for no reason. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you could tell Wall Street selling or whatever, but like, we're going through something that's not very natural. Another reason why you could tell we're way lower than we should be is just looking at max pain. Normally speaking, you look at max pain, we're pretty close to max pain price for our options expiration. And normally speaking, we're above that. The fact that we're well below this max pain price also tells you something. Like, we're way oversold. We're way below where we should be. So there's something definitely going on, right? And it's not crypto winter. It's not because we entered bear market, because there is definitely some manipulation and suppression going on. But again, we'll get through it. We will. We always do. Is this for September or October? Look at that. Mid-2026 expectations for labor conditions remain decidedly negative, and expectations for increased household income shrunk dramatically after a 6-month strong positive reading. Like, stuff like this helps our case for a lot more rate cuts coming. So now we're back to 85%. January we're up to 22.6%. But pretty soon, that January mark is going to be above 50%. So that's 2 rate cuts in a row. And who knows? Maybe in December, we get a surprise 50 basis point cut if the numbers continue to be really, really, really bad. All these numbers are from September. Right? We don't even have October numbers. Hopefully they release them sooner than later. October numbers will be even worse than September. Did any of the cycle top indicators flash? No, none of them. There's like 30 top indicators and not one has flashed top. And tops, just think about it. What happens during tops? There's euphoria. There's massive FOMO. There's neighbors and friends all calling you up asking about crypto. We didn't even have that. So we didn't have any kind of top at all. So that's another indication that we didn't have a top. This is just a correction. Like Raoul Pal says right here.
And we'll go up to the next phase of correction zone. That's going to be harder because the next one that happens, we'll have a 35% drop and you'll all say, is it over? And you'll definitely be sure it's over. And everybody on Twitter will tell you it's over, and it won't be over.
Right there. We're going to have a 35% drop, Everyone's going to say it's over, and it's not over. I know he has made some wild predictions before, but overall, he just maintains level-headedness, and he's seen a lot. He's been around a long time around Wall Street. He knows how things work, how business cycles work, and how rate cuts or high rates affect things. I was actually kind of mad. I was actually at the SUI conference, I believe, and I didn't get a chance to meet him. I think this was in Dubai. I'm pretty sure it was at Dubai earlier this year. Actually, this might not even be from a few months ago. This could be from like 6 months ago. It was a while. And why? You could go to dashboard and see the DCA portfolio right there. It's always up. You could see it every day. Still plus 38%. Not a good mark. Not a good mark. It was plus 115 at its high point. But still, in the positive. I was DCAing every day or every week from 2021 all the way until earlier this year. And that kind of stopped, but that's just because I got lazy, not because I actually really stopped DCAing. But again, shows you it's still positive. Man, people just really do not want. Way too many people that just want to sell right now. People don't want to buy bottoms. People want to buy tops. People want to FOMO in. People don't realize how good of a buying opportunity it is right now. But people keep holding and saying, well, it's going to go lower. It's bear market. We're going to fall back to wherever. But how many of you guys would like chop off an arm or leg to be able to go back to that point, July 2022, and go all in right now, right? But at that time, it's the same thing. And we were there for a long time. You look at that. That was months where we stood like at 20,000 and below. Many times we fell down to 16, 15,000. We go back up to 20, fall back to 18. Same thing. And we recovered. Every single time we do. But during those moments, kind of sucked. And people are calling that we're going to go lower until we recovered. You just don't know where bottom is until enough time has passed. Yeah, that was the FTX collapse days. That was the bottom of the crypto winter. Yep. All right, guys. That is it. Stay strong, my friends. Just take a look at this. We haven't been this oversold since the bottom of the last crypto winter. All right. So it's a really good opportunity to buy the dip. But even if you don't, just hold. Stay strong. Stay focused. Fundamentals really have not changed at all. We have great things that are coming up. we will have that next big move for Bitcoin. It is not over. So stay strong, my friends. I'll see you guys tonight. Have a good one. Take care.